Hey guys, for this video today, I wanted to do an additional Blackhawks jersey related video because over the past week as I'm filming this today, I saw a mock-up of what the Blackhawks jerseys would look like if all they did to the collars was make the collar insert match the main color of the collar rather than the main color of the jersey, like you see here. And to be quite honest, I was so intrigued by it that I thought that I would spend the time here and create an additional video to discuss that idea because I actually thought it was pretty damn good. Now with this collar design here, as you can see here, they clearly tried to copy the Reebok Edge V-neck collar style with a red insert. But unfortunately, in Chicago's case, ever since they, alongside the rest of the NHL, switched to the Adidas Adi0 jerseys a couple of years ago, unfortunately, although the collar looks a little more tolerable here because it looks like a dress shirt collar, when you look at it on the ice and when you see the players actually wearing the jerseys, it looks even worse than this shot here because the collars have looked very reminiscent of what I would tell you is a toilet seat. And I know myself and other people I talk to here have dubbed them the toilet seat collars, and rightfully so. They look absolutely atrocious. And even though this shot makes them look a little more tolerable than what they look like on an actual player, the sad part is they still look terrible. They look like dress shirt / polo shirt collars from this shot here. That's not a compliment either, folks. These collars are hideous. And in fact, they've been so bad that I've actually called them the Addy crap collars because they look like crap. They're terrible. And I've always felt since the day these came out that these collars have really ruined two of the greatest jerseys in hockey as a whole, not just the NHL, but in the entire sport. The Blackhawks jerseys are gorgeous, in my opinion, and some of the absolute best of the best of all time. But then these collars came out, and they just are so bad. But the good news is that for anybody who doesn't know, the Blackhawks jersey change that they are making for next season is just to the collar. And it's a good change. But in my opinion, it's still not great. But thankfully, this collar design that you see right here and here is thankfully done after 2 seasons, which was 2 seasons too many as far as I'm concerned. But here is what they are going to be going with starting in the 2019-2020 NHL season. So in the 2019-2020 season, the Blackhawks are going to go with a half-finished collar design like teams such as Toronto and Vancouver have, rather than the toilet seat collar that these guys have unfortunately had for the past 2 seasons, eh? So, as you can see, it's definitely better. It doesn't look like a toilet seat, but it's not great. A half-finished collar is not better than the V-neck collars that Chicago had during the Reebok Edge years. And unfortunately, from what I've heard, the Adi0 collar style is not going away anytime soon. And it's absolutely, it's an absolute shame, in my opinion. That's what I meant to say. But as you can see now, the entire front half of the collar matches the color of the jersey. And although I would agree with anyone who says this is better than the toilet seat collars that these have thankfully replaced, these are still not great. I mean, you're replacing an awful toilet seat collar with a half-finished collar. I mean, it's definitely better, and I'm grateful that Chicago has at least done something. And by the way, the other jersey change they are making for next season is they've decided to bring back their 2019 Winter Classic sweater for a few games next season, which I'm really glad that they are going to be doing because I feel that Chicago and Adidas did a good job with that sweater. And also, speaking of jerseys or uniform changes for next season, later on in the video, once I'm done discussing what I want to discuss here about the Blackhawks, I also want to discuss some stuff regarding the Carolina Hurricanes' new away uniform for next season. Because from what I hear, they're going to be doing something really unique for their uniform design for next season that they've never done before. And I mean, obviously we know that they're getting a new away uniform for next season, eh? But here's the thing. Initially, the talk was about them just making an away jersey that matches their new and much improved home jersey. Or even possibly doing something that makes their black third jersey their full-time home jersey going forward. But it's interesting, and I will get to it later on. And sorry that I did not mention that earlier on in the video about what I want to talk about regarding the Carolina Hurricanes. But anyways, back to the Blackhawks. I mean, looking at the half-finished collars, I mean, at least this is an improvement. And I can 100% confirm that this is the collar style that they are going for, or going with going forward starting next season. So, without further ado, here is the mock-up that I want to show you. And this is what the jerseys would look like if they just decided to make the pentagon insert match the main color of the collar. Personally, although I absolutely cannot stand the Adi Zero collars with a passion, I gotta say that I do prefer this mock-up that I've seen recently over what they've actually gone with. Because for me, I like the idea of a complete collar design. And although this collar design is absolutely inferior to the Reebok Edge collar design, in my opinion, whether it's the V-neck or the V-neck with laces, I didn't even mind the Reebok Edge collars with the mock tie lacing. I thought those looked really quite good as well. Some of the earlier collared styles, like the wishbone one, where the collar kind of came out to here and stuck out a bit, and then had the collar insert, or the NHL shield, I did not care for that collar style, but the other ones were really good. And as much as I dislike the Adi Zero collars, I do actually agree with those who say that this would have been the better option to go with. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Chicago did not decide to go with this, because I actually feel that a complete collar looks a lot better than a half-finished collar, or a collar with a pentagon insert that is the same color as the jersey, which creates a toilet seat collar effect. So, I've got to say, this mock-up here kind of disappoints me, because it makes me think that, you know what, Chicago could have done better than what they actually did. And as much as I hate these pentagon inserts and these big round fat crew neck Adi crap collars, or as I call them, which I know they're Adi Zero collars, but I can't stand what Adidas decided to use for their collar style. But you know what? This collar design does not look terrible. And I think that most people would probably prefer this even over what they've had for the past 2 seasons. I mean, the new collar style, the half-finished one, is definitely better than the toilet seat one they've had for the past 2 seasons. But I actually feel that this complete collar design would have actually been even better than the one they've actually elected to go with starting next season. And I've also seen the full red crew neck collar on the Red Wings away jersey, and actually, although it's a big, monstrous collar, it's the most practical. And I'm glad that Detroit did not elect to go with a red toilet seat collar with a white pentagon insert, because that would have given their away jersey the toilet seat look for its collar. And by having a full insert, it actually looks like a complete collar. Is it a great collar design? No, it's not. Whether you have a collar design that actually works and is less noticeable, like say the St. Louis Blues collars on their home and away jerseys, or even the collar that the Oilers have on their home and away jerseys. I mean, using the Adi Zero collar design, those collars actually look okay. They're tolerable, but are they still great? By no means. Hell no. They're not good. The Reebok V-necks were great, but this is not. But on the flip side, here's the thing. Although the Adi Zero collars are a terrible design choice in my opinion, and that's on Adidas, it is on the NHL teams, on each individual team, to pick the style of collar or the design for their Adi Zero collar treatment. And it's frustrating because I know Chicago tried to make their collar just replicate their collars that they've had on their home and away jerseys for years now, whether it's Reebok or even older years, like say the CCM era. You know what? It did not work, and it translated to the Adizero uniform terribly. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. The half-finished collar here, I think we can all agree that this is a huge step up over these. But when you compare these to this, I mean, although I agree with everyone that the collar design that they're going with for next season is an improvement, I actually feel, I've actually been convinced that this is the way that Chicago probably should have gone. I mean, if we're not going to see a change to the Adizero collar anytime soon, at least the NHL teams can, for the time being, find a compromise and create a collar style for each specific uniform that at least makes the Adizero collars look a little more tolerable. And as much as I would agree with everyone on the sense that Chicago did improve their collar design for next season, and it was a much needed improvement as far as I'm concerned, I do agree with those of you who would say that this collar design here, the complete collar, is a better way to go. And as much as I still cannot stand these big oversized crew neck collars, at least this collar design looks more practical. It looks like a complete collar design rather than a half-finished incomplete one. I mean, swapping out a toilet seat for an incomplete collar isn't that big of an improvement. Where I actually now agree with those who say that all they needed to do was make the Pentagon insert match the main color of the collar. If Chicago would have done this, I think this would have been a lot better than even what they went with. Which, at least their uniform collar design now is a lot more tolerable than before, but still not great. Is this great? By all means, no. But even this, in my opinion, is actually a step up over their new collar design they're going with starting next season. This one, which is this one here. So, yeah, I mean, I thought I'd mention that, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about that, because you know what? It is an interesting idea. And actually, I think I like the crew neck collars being a complete design rather than the half-finished one. I actually prefer this mock-up here over this right here, or this one over this one. But anyways, before I move on to the Carolina Hurricanes, there is actually one more thing that I would like to show, and it has to do with their Winter Classic turned third jersey. And to be honest, this is something that I wanted to show, that I've wanted to also show for a little while. But as much as I would agree with anyone who says that Chicago and Adidas did a decent job with this design, and I do like the black and white treatment of just their regular logo inside the roundel. I mean, their regular crest is a great logo, so doing it in black and white is actually a decent idea. But one thing I've wanted to show for a long time here is an idea that I would have done had I been the person deciding on a crest for this sweater here. And I'd love to hear what other people think about it, because if I were the person deciding on a logo to use for their 2019 Winter Classic sweater, truth is, I would have gone with this style here. I really, really like this style better than just a black and white version of the regular crest. And for myself, I think that what Chicago should have done with their Winter Classic jersey is they should have used a 30s crest. They should have used their logo from the 1930s. I actually wanted to see their Winter Classic jersey be a real replica, like a real, I wanted it to be more accurate to what it was paying homage to. I actually wanted to see a 1934 sweater for the most part. But as I say that though, I do really like the design that they actually elected to go with. I actually feel that Chicago and Adidas did a great job with this design for being something heavily based off of the past, but still something new, a faux back design. And you know what? Even if they would have put a 30s crest inside the roundel instead of their current logo, I would have preferred that myself. And that's what I would have done if I were using the same jersey style. But I would have liked to have seen some more stripes along the shoulders, maybe even just a couple more, and make the stripes along the front and the back that you see here a little bit thinner. But that's a matter of personal opinion, of course. But for what they actually elected to go with, I actually would agree with anyone who says that Adidas in Chicago did do a pretty decent job considering the fact that they didn't do a true throwback. But if it were me though, once again, before I wrap up my talk about the Blackhawks uniforms that I wanted to mention here today, once again, this is the crest that I would have used on their 2019 Winter Classic sweater. I think something like this would have been even a little bit better myself, but that's a matter of personal opinion, of course. But on that note, you guys, I would love to hear how you guys feel about both my idea for what I would have done with the Blackhawks 2019 Winter Classic sweater logo, and also this potential idea, or this idea of making the collar insert just match the main color of the collar. Because in my opinion, I actually prefer this complete collar design over the half-finished one that Chicago is electing to go with starting next season in the 2019-2020 NHL season. But anyways, to wrap up this video, there is one thing that I do want to talk about regarding the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's interesting. And what I'm also going to do, too, is I'm going to mention in my description where I start to discuss the Carolina Hurricanes, just to make it easier in case that's all you want to hear. And I respect that if you only want to see the stuff regarding the Hurricanes. But anyways, according to rumors that I've heard as of late, the Carolina Hurricanes are planning on doing something totally new for their away jersey redesign for the 2019-2020 season. Now, initially, the thought was that, okay, they're likely just going to make a matching white jersey that matches their much improved new red home jersey. I know that there's also been talk that, you know what, with the fact that the Hurricanes have really marketed their new third jersey and their new alternate logo, and even wore their third jersey throughout their playoff run this past season, which was quite an impressive run, I might add. There was also talk that the Hurricanes may just be actually switching to that full-time with a matching away jersey. In fact, you know what I'll do here? I'll throw in something extra that I wasn't initially planning on putting together for this video, but let's take a look here. And please, I do apologize. Just bear with me for a moment. I do apologize for the delay. I hope I'm not taking too much time, but here's kind of... Oh boy, I wish this computer would hurry up. So here's kind of some mock-ups. Here's some mock-ups that I thought that, you know what, might actually look good for the Carolina Hurricanes, and an idea that I think they could have maybe considered. And finally, my computer is now deciding to work. Okay, that... Jesus Christ. That is not what I wanted at all. Sorry, my computer is having a bit of a technical difficulty, so I'm going to just skip that part. But anyways, what I was actually going to show you guys was some mock-ups that I made of either a matching white version of their third jersey or a possible gray version. But anyways, you see this word mark here. According to the rumor mill, or the rumors that I've heard, supposedly the Hurricanes are planning on a new away jersey that I've heard so far is not going to be gray, it's going to be white, that has this word mark going diagonally along the front of the jersey like the New York Rangers jerseys have with their word mark on the front of their jerseys. So they're going to go with a Ranger-style word mark that says Canes along the front. I don't think it's going to say Hurricanes. I think it's just going to say Canes. And when I think of that idea, I think it's like the 08-09 NHL season all over again, where here's another team with a nickname on the front of their jersey. I mean, Tampa Bay did the Bolts thing on the front of their long-time blue alternate uniform for a long time, and then they even did it on that awful Los Angeles Kings rip-off third jersey they had at the end of the Reebok Edge era. And then Ottawa had that short-lived, hideous Sens word mark jersey that had the Sens word mark along the front like this in this type of style. But you know what? I mean, if the Hurricanes decided to use this word mark on the front going diagonally down the jersey like the Rangers have with their word mark, and had it in the same jersey style as their home jersey, it might not actually look all that bad. I mean, would I prefer Carolina to just use their third jersey logo on the front of a new away jersey design? My answer to that is definitely yes, or even just a matching white version of their current home jersey. But I'm actually really intrigued to see this word mark diagonally down the front of a new away jersey. I've even heard there's a chance there could be some gradient type element on the new away jersey, but we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. I'm not really too sure how I'm feeling about this jersey. I'd have to wait and see it actually unveiled until I can make a full judgment. But so far, I mean, if the new away jersey is a matching white version of their home jersey with this word mark diagonally along the front, with their new alternate logo as the shoulder patch, I actually think it would be okay. I don't know if I would, I don't think I would say that's, I don't think it would be one of the best jerseys of all time by any means, but I don't think it would be necessarily terrible. It's kind of, it's an interesting idea, that's for sure. But also, I do remember an old post from Aesthetics when the Hurricanes did unveil their third jersey last year, where they are possibly considering putting their new third jersey logo on the shoulders of their home and away jerseys, which, if their new away jersey is going to have this Canes word mark on the front of it instead of a logo, having the alternate logo as a shoulder patch would make a lot of sense, and I would not be surprised if they end up doing that for the home jersey as well, because they did talk about it when they unveiled their new third jersey last year. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Hurricanes come up with, but I've got to admit, the idea of this Canes word mark diagonally along the front, so far, it does sound intriguing to me. I'm very curious to see what it looks like once they do unveil it, which I hope is soon. But at the same time, I've got to make a confession. When I think of a diagonal nickname word mark instead of a full name word mark along the front of a jersey, that makes me think of the 08-09 season all over again, when Reebok and the Tampa Bay Lightning and Ottawa Senators thought it would be a good idea to slam nicknames on the front of their jerseys and as word mark logos rather than actual logos. And I mean, as much as I always felt that Tampa Bay's Bolts, their royal blue Bolts jersey, because their black one was an abomination and a ripoff of the Kings home jersey, their royal blue one with the Bolts word mark on the front, I've never disliked it. And I always felt it was better than their current home and away jerseys, to be honest. Minus the word mark on the front, of course. But, you know, I've never been a fan of nicknames on the front of a jersey. I mean, a full team name or a full city name like Pittsburgh had on their black jersey during the mid-1990s, okay. A city name or a team name in full on the front going diagonally down a jersey, okay. But a nickname, the last time we saw teams do that with nicknames on the front of their jerseys, none of those designs that were brought out during the Reebok Edge era were all that great. Even that Bolts jersey, the royal blue one I'm talking about, I do like that design better than their current boring and too similar to Toronto uniforms that they have now, minus their crazy third jersey, of course. But you know, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the concept of a team nickname like Canes instead of Hurricanes diagonally along the front of a jersey instead of a logo. So, but I will say this, I do find this rumor quite intriguing, and I would not be surprised if this is what they elect to go with. Because I know that I have heard that the owner of the Hurricanes, Tom Dundon, has wanted to do something different. So that's why I've been thinking for a long time, okay, I would not be surprised if maybe they attempt a light gray jersey, but I think what's happening is they're going to just stick with white. But on top of that, there is a chance that maybe they may include a slight gray gradient somewhere on the uniform, and I'm quite curious to see what they've actually come up with. So hopefully we're going to see it soon, and I know I will be sharing my thoughts on it once it is unveiled. But anyways, you guys, I'd love to hear what you think about the Blackhawks stuff that I talked about earlier, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Carolina Hurricanes possibly using this Canes wordmark here in a way that's diagonally, where it's used diagonally along the front of the jersey, just like the Rangers wordmark on their jerseys. So anyways, guys, after 26 minutes, I will call it a wrap on this video. Once again, I'd love to hear what you guys think about all of this stuff. And until my next video, take care. And of course, as always, you guys, bye for now.